Okay, we'll reconvene with item number 17. It's a report of the accreditation team to San Ramon Valley Unified School Districts. Consultant Poonam Bedi will introduce this item. Joining her today is team lead Shelley Groom and institutional representatives Nicole Padoan, Teacher Induction Program Coordinator, Lydia Snyder, Teacher Induction Program Coordinator, and Nak Nguyen, San Ramon Valley Unified School District Instructional Coach. And does anybody need to recuse himself from this item? Okay, Ms. Betty, will you begin?
Good afternoon, committee members. I hope everyone had a lovely lunch. Item 17 presents the accreditation site visit team's report for the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. The site visit occurred March 20 to 22nd earlier this year. I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the San Ramon Valley Teacher Induction Program team, consisting of the representatives that are here with us today, Nak, Lydia, and Nicole. They were always one step ahead in preparing for the site visit and worked tirelessly to provide the necessary interviews, documents, and information that was requested by the site visit team. They were clearly supported by district leadership, who I'd also like to thank, along with the administrators, candidates, mentors, and district staff who participated in the preparation for the site visit. I would also like to thank the site visit team members for their time, their expertise, and their dedication to the accreditation process and in finalizing the accreditation report. Finally, I'm grateful for Shelley, our team lead, who supported the team members and worked persistently and patiently throughout the entire process. I will now turn this presentation over to Shelley to provide her thoughts on the site visit and then walk through the team's findings.
Thank you, Poonam, and good afternoon, committee members. I am proud to be here on behalf of the accreditation team that got to spend some time with the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. I'd like to thank the team. The team members aren't here, but I do want to mention some names. We had Chad Lanting from San Diego County Office of Ed. He focused on program standards. And then Teresa Shockley from Chino Valley Unified School District. She focused on common standards. And all three of us worked very collaboratively together. And to credit Poonam as well, she was a wonderful support, providing us with resources and Google folders and everything that we needed in order to help this review go smoothly. And of course, to Nak, Lydia, and Nicole, your leadership, the three of you, the collaborative leadership just really showed through, and you could see that you are the heart of the program. The journey of this accreditation process was positive all the way through. From the meetings that we had, the 1 month out visits, the team meetings before that, the program was so responsive to anything that was needed, any questions that we had, any documentation that we requested. It was there, it was organized on a beautiful website, beautiful website, just very, very, very well done. A couple of things that stood out for me with San Ramon Valley is the cohesiveness among the leaders, the leadership with Dr. John Malloy as superintendent. I had the pleasure of interviewing him. His initiatives, he has some pillars that he encourages, that he puts in place that the district will live by. Two of those pillars you could see just woven throughout the culture there at San Ramon. One of those was that of shared leadership, and that the belief that everyone in a school district is responsible for students' learning, everyone. And you can see this in this team that is here right now with Nak, Lydia, and Nicole, a shared leadership. We are much more powerful together than we are in isolation. And you can see that. You could also see that in the design of the induction program, with the mentors serving as leaders. Absolutely mentoring their candidate, but also serving as a leader for them. One of the examples of that in terms of onboarding new candidates was that the mentor takes some time one-on-one with that new candidate and provides them with the information they need in order to get started in the school year. So it's not necessarily a big sit and get at this onboarding. It is personalized and it's one-on-one, and those mentors embrace that role of leadership. Another pillar that Dr. Malloy talked about was this a culture of continuous response, like responsiveness. Of course, that is about the students being responsive to student needs, but you could see this in the induction program. These lovely ladies right here have systems in place where they are constantly getting feedback from the mentors, from the candidates, from the community members and the other IHEs and the other programs involved, so that they can be the very best that they can be. One of the examples that was given was from a mentor who had attended a mentor training. They had 2 sessions of mentor trainings, one at, I can't remember the times, but one at 4 o'clock and one at 6 o'clock. This team received feedback from the 4 o'clock meeting that they then put into place by the 6 o'clock meeting. So just, it's so seamless, the responsiveness. And also I want to just emphasize the uniqueness of this program, with the mentors really serving as leaders, and the candidates in the interviews with them expressed their gratitude for having those mentors be there, and kind of really guide them and take some of the weight off of them, so that they can really focus on their teaching. So those were the highlights that I'd like to share. I am proud to say that through the review, through the interviews and the documents that we looked at, we saw that all common standards were met, all program standards were met, and we proudly recommend full accreditation for the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you very much for the report. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visits. So any members?
Well, we definitely don't want to dispute anything. It was awesome. So, that's for sure. So thank you very much for all of your hard work to observe all of our hard work. I know, Shelley, you got, and Poonam, you got, how proud we are of our program and how long standing it's been in the district as an evolutionary program. I'm really glad that we were able to convey that to you, because that's what we're very proud of. And that's all I need to say. No dispute here, and I'll turn it over to my teammates.
Just thank you for guiding us through the accreditation process, to Poonam, Shelley, and the entire team. And as always, we use it as an opportunity to reflect and grow, and as many positives and accomplishments that we were able to celebrate, it also helps us to think more about our program. So that's one thing we know we'll keep doing, and we'll be reflecting on our talks and some of the things that that you highlighted as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wen.
Yes.
You don't have to say anything, but go ahead.
Well, I do want to say thank you to the team and to Poonam. As stressful of a process it was, I do want to say that it's a great learning opportunity for all of us involved. And yes, we've been recommended for full accreditation, but I can tell you that already after the visit, it was like, oh, we should think about this. Oh, we should think about that. And they provided us with a lot of helpful insight. And we experience it ourselves too, not because they surface it, but just going through the process, just help us reflect on our own practice, how we can do things, and what changes we can make to make it an even more effective and efficient process for our newest colleagues. So thank you.
Thank you. And your comments, your whole team's comments really reflect that idea of continuous improvement and what this process is really meant to embrace. And so thank you for that. At this time, are there any comments from or questions from our committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Hallis.
I move to accept the recommendation of accreditation for San Ramon Valley Unified School District.
And do I have a second? Member Cervantes? Okay, we'll call a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Okay, motion carries, and congratulations to the San Ramon team, and thank you to our team lead, Shelley Groom, and everybody else. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So shall we leave now? Are you on to your next item?
You are all set. Congratulations. Go
Thank you.
celebrate.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
everybody.
You are
Thank
welcome to stay.
Well, you can let us know about what happens. Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate all
Thank
your
you.
hard work, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay. And Michelle, do we have the team from CSU Chico? Oh, great. Okay. Then we will go ahead as soon as we bring on the CSU Chico team, move on to item number 18. Okay, looks like we have everybody with us. We'll go ahead and move into item 18, which is the report of the accreditation team to accreditation visit to California State University, Chico. Consultants Hart Boyd and Lynn Larson will introduce this item. Joining him is team lead Edmundo Lipton and institutional representatives Angela Trethaway, Dean of the College of Communication and Education, Deborah Summers, Associate Dean of the College of Communication and Education, and Jennifer Olaf Lewis, Assistant Director and Assessment Coordinator, School of Education. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? All right, Mr. Boyd, will you begin, please?
Could we add one
Yes,
more
thank
participant? We have Rebecca Justison, who's the director of the School of Education. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. Welcome, Rebecca.
California State University Chico site visit took place from March 5th through the 8th, 2023. The site visit was conducted virtually rather than in person, and a total of 465 interviews were completed with various constituencies, and the site visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. The team at CSU Chico was great to work with, and they were all extremely thorough and thoughtful in their preparation for the site visit. Joining us today via technology and representing CSU Chico are Doctors Angela Trethaway, Deborah Summers, Rebecca Justison, and Jennifer Olaf Lewis. Also joining us today via technology is the site visits team lead, Dr. Edmundo Litton. Edmundo was fantastic to work with and was an extremely knowledgeable and thoughtful leader throughout the process. I would also like to thank each of the members of our site visit team for contributing their time and expertise to this visit. The team worked diligently in preparation for the visit and worked extremely hard during the visit. Finally, I would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Lynn Larson, who served as a secondary consultant on this site visit. I'll stop now and turn it over to Edmundo, who will present the findings and the accreditation recommendation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm just not muted. Good afternoon. On behalf of my colleagues on the site visit team, including our CTC consultants, Hart Boyd and Lynn Larson, I'd like to extend our gratitude to the faculty, staff, candidates, and external partners of CSU Chico for providing us with the information that we needed to be able to tell the story of the institution. Over the last few years, the CSU Chico community has experienced many tragedies, including fires and the continuing impact of a global pandemic. And during the site visit, it even snowed. So it's a good thing we weren't there in person. But despite these various difficulties, the team clearly saw that the institution's dedication to the task of preparing the best educators for the North State communities. After examining all of the evidence that was presented, the site team visit is making a unanimous recommendation of accreditation to the Committee on Accreditation. The recommendation is based on the following. The team determined that all program standards are fully met for the credential programs. The team also determined that CSU Chico provided sufficient evidence for meeting the common standards. Thus, all common standards are also considered fully met. The site visit team concluded that the education preparation unit at CSU Chico, when judged as a whole, meets or exceeds the Commission's adopted common standards and program standards. CSU Chico is judged to be effective in preparing educators and is demonstrating overall quality in its programs and general operations. Thus, the unanimous recommendation to the COA of the site team is accreditation. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Litton. At this time, we'd invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. And I'm not going to say that we remind you not to dispute the team's report because you have a really strong report, but remember, this is a time just to share your thoughts about the visit and anything else you'd like to share with us. Any members of the CSU Chico team?
I'll just say quickly, I'd like to extend my thanks to the entire team. It was a wonderful experience for us in terms of reinforcing what we believe to be the most effective parts of our programs, and also gave us opportunities to think in new and to, again, consider the ways we'll continue to improve. So thank you for that opportunity. And I would just like to thank also the CSU team. This is, of course, as everybody knows, a years-long process. And so my heartiest thank you to my colleagues.
I'd like to echo Angela's thoughts and thank the review team, deeply thank the review team. You were thorough, you were thought-provoking. You handled every aspect of the review with care and with expertise, and it was done with such a delicate dance. We learned so much. We appreciate all that you've provided us, and just thank you, thank you, thank you. And to the consultants as well, thank you both.
Okay, thank you very. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I would just also like to say thank you to everybody for the support. The last panelist in the group before us mentioned that the process works, and we really felt that as well, that we got great information to help us improve our programs. So that was just fantastic.
Really appreciate those comments about the process, and really your idea about the continuous improvement and just the thought-provoking questions that came from the team meant to improve the process. So we appreciate that. And also just I want to just comment, just with all the different programs you have, having met all program standards and common standards is quite an accomplishment. So kudos to the CSU Chico team. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yes, thank you for being here and sharing your work with us. I just had a couple of questions regarding the report. I was interested in the numbers of candidates that were posted in different areas, and I'm referring to the table that's on page 8. I saw, unlike some of the other programs that come before us this morning, that your numbers for preliminary multiple subject credentials remained fairly constant from last year to this year, yet there was significant increase in the number of people pursuing counseling and speech language pathology credentials. And I just wondered if you have an explanation for that. I have one other question, but I can stop with that one.
Well, I'll certainly take a stab, particularly speech language pathology. We have been encouraged by the Chancellor's office with a very substantial external award to increase our numbers, which we've been able to do by increasing the sites where the candidates were placed. That was a huge problem for us, and we've, with a new chair and some innovative thinking, managed to break that barrier and increase those numbers, and it's been very rewarding. Pupil Personnel Services is the other service credential we have, and really those numbers have remained quite steady. So I don't actually have the report in front of me, but it's a relatively small program, a strong program, but relatively small. So does anyone on the team have the report in front of them that you could take a peek at that? No?
Well, you just went from 6 to 16 candidates, which is a significant increase, but as you said, it's a small program, so I could anticipate some variability.
I think the other explanation might be the cycle of the program and when candidates finish. It's a 3-year program that incorporates a master's degree. So probably it was the timing of the group moving through.
If I may, I wanted to sort of clarify that part, because when I look at your multiple subject and single subject, knowing that it could very well be a 2-year program, if the number of enrolled candidates by comparison to the number of completers is actually a lower number. And I think we're all experiencing a decrease in enrollment all around. I was particularly curious, and not so much concerned, but curious about the bilingual authorization and perhaps what could be done there to sort of increment the number, or I think of some innovative ways in which some programs have done. ITEPs have been able to bundle in their bilingual authorization so that each student can walk out with both, right? But just curious in general on ideas. I'm looking at adaptive PE as well. You can sort of also think about creating a stack, right? You earn your single subject PE, then you can earn your adaptive PE and so forth. If the folks on campus, I work for a CSU as well, so I'm also curious because of the work we're doing. Any ideas or, prospective innovations on program offerings that folks might have on site that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. Yes, and thank you for the question, particularly with bilingual. We just submitted a new transition plan that creates another track for bilingual candidates. It allows a credential holding teacher to return and earn their bilingual authorization as a separate entity rather than an integrated program. Part of the reason we believe our numbers are currently so low with such a strong program is that it's a very intensive and long program that combines both the either multiple or single subject credential and the bilingual authorization. So in effect, what we're doing is teasing that apart. We'll still have that opportunity for the candidates who want it and need it, but we'll be adding on another route to obtain the bilingual authorization. We also might consider an ITEP, but it's conversations. We're in those kinds of conversations. Anyone else want to add?
I believe you had another question, or I'm sorry. Go ahead, and you're finishing up the response.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
So my other question also had to do with some of the numbers that were reported on page 14 for TPA results. Those are uniformly significantly lower than the state's average, as described in the report. And I wondered if you could perhaps speculate on reasons for that. And then I noticed that one of the steps mentioned in here is to create a TPA class. So do you think that's the most effective intervention or response? And then I guess, I'll just hand it to you to provide us some insight on what's behind that.
Rebecca, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So we created a TPA support class that was always sort of the plan to have it. We had it for previous TPAs, and many institutions do. And we we reoriented it around Cal TPA and worked with our instructors in the content areas and in the multiple subject program to get everybody sort of on the same page with the new TPA, so that we had sort of echoes across our program. So what happens at the introduction phase in maybe other classes is echoed in the support class in a more targeted way. And then, just getting sort of, we've gone from PAC to Cal TPA. So getting sort of new structures in place for what do our remediation cycles look like, different pieces that were sort of different with Pearson doing the administration, because PAC had been more localized. So I think we've really dialed a lot of those pieces in. It was interrupted a bit by, COVID and some of the flexibilities, but I think that we've just gotten reports out on our numbers and they've just taken a climb post-COVID. So
yeah, COVID, I think, offers a lot of that explanation. Students deferred. Some weren't placed in a setting, that was deferred so that they couldn't participate in Cal TPA initially. We had a few students post-pandemic who took leaves and are now back. So I do think there was variation in the numbers at that time. And as Rebecca said, we're seeing quite a climb right now. We also do have multiple entry points. Let me just add one more thing, that this is not true of all institutions, so it may be a bit confounding. Both our multiple and single subject programs have fall and spring start points. So that's why you see continuing and finishing numbers looking quite different than a typical cohorted group of students in one AY.
Yeah, my question was more specific to the TPA, and I understand that COVID affected programs across the state. So thank you for your response.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Taylor?
I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation for California State University, Chico.
And do I have a second? Member Kresha? Okay, we'll now go ahead and call the vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries, and congratulations to the CSU Chico team, and thank you to both of our consultants on the visit.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you.
I can, would like to throw an extra thank you into Hart and Lynn for turning in a 72-page site visit report.
Yes.
I think maybe that wins the award for biggest site visit report we've reviewed in quite a while.
Wow.
Thank
Now
you.
have the record.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll now move to item number 19. And do we have everybody with us? Great. Okay. Item 19 is the report of the accreditation team to California State University, Long Beach. Consultants Iori Asamwani, Sarah Barwani, and Jake Schuler will present this item. They are joined by team lead Dr. Christine Zeppos and institutional representatives Dr. Ana Ortiz, Dean, and Dr. Rebecca Bustamante, Associate Dean. And does anyone need to recuse? All right, Ms. Asamwani, will you begin, please?
Thank you. Hello again, everyone. The California State University Long Beach site visit took place from February 26th through March 1st, 2023. The visit was conducted entirely via video technology via Zoom. A total of 601 interviews were conducted throughout this visit. And despite it being conducted entirely online, the site visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. Sarah?
Yes. The team at CSU Long Beach was led by Associate Dean Rebecca Bustamante, Dean Ana Ortiz, as well as a full leadership team that worked together throughout the year. Rebecca, Dean Ortiz, and their team were fantastic to work with and get to know personally throughout the year leading up to the site visit, and they were extremely thorough in their preparation for the visit. Also joining by Zoom today is our team lead, Dr. Christine Zeppos. Christine was an absolute joy to work with and a fantastic leader throughout the process.
Okay, part three. Hi, everyone. We would also like to thank our wonderful site visit team members for contributing their time and expertise to the visit. They were Marita Mahoney, Alan Inamoto, Gurley Hale, Rachel Millstone, Mary Beth Murray, Josie Blagrave, Anita Flemington, Jennifer St. Clair, Deborah Lockwood, Dina Fiore, and Denise Williams. I will now stop there and turn it over to Christine, who will present the findings and the accreditation recommendation.
Excellent. Thank you, Jake. Well, it's great to see you all virtually. I wish it was in person. I missed those days, but hopefully we'll get more of that as we come forward. So I'll get right to the findings. It was a pleasure to be on this visit and work with colleagues, as Jake mentioned. The large team, is recommending accreditation with a 7th year report. We found all of the program standards to be fully met and all of the common standards to be fully met, with exception common standard number 4, which we found to be met with concerns. And the rationale for that finding of met with concerns is, even though we found that there was ample evidence that all the credential programs were collecting, analyzing, using data for program improvement, there was inconsistent evidence that the unit has developed and implemented a comprehensive continuous improvement process at the unit level that identifies program, unit effectiveness, and makes appropriate modifications based on those findings. There was also inconsistent evidence that the unit regularly and systematically collects, analyzes, and uses the data and program completer data, as well as data reflecting the effectiveness of unit operations to improve all programs and their services. So for programs outside of the College of Education, there also is a one-way process of the College of Education providing data reports to those programs, and there wasn't consistent evidence that was found that these programs were systematically involved in the unit's continuous improvement process. The College of Education assessment system and the accreditation office, we found, is really in the discovery phase of restructuring and the strategic planning process, which is why we are recommending accreditation with the 7th year report, because the systems appear to be in place, but it's still at the infancy of the use to be able to show how that data and how those systems, again, are systematically gathering data in the continuous improvement cycle. So for those reasons, we unanimously recommend accreditation with a 7th year report. And before I hand it over to our CSULB colleagues, I'd first like to thank the site visit team that Jake mentioned. What a large team, and truly such wonderful professionals, highly competent and dedicated educators, which makes our profession so wonderful. I have to thank Jake, Sarah, and Iwani. When you have so many balls in the air, their help and their continuous support just made our jobs so much easier to be able to cull through so much data and make our jobs easier to be able to reflect on the decisions necessary. And then finally, to the entire CSULB community, starting from Dean Anna Ortiz, Rebecca Bustamante, Daisy Alfaro, and Ryan Adams as part of the leadership, but really also all the faculty and staff and leadership at CSULB were really wonderful and gave us everything that we needed to be able to make a thoughtful decision. So I wanted to thank them as well. So again, thank you, and happy to answer questions after the unit make some comments as well.
Okay,
Great.
we now
Thank you so
invite,
much.
go ahead. We invite you to make your comments, the Long Beach team.
Okay, thank you. First I want to thank Christine and Jake and Iori and Sarah. Were so instrumental to our success. I was an interim dean, and we had a brand new assessment and accreditation office. So we needed, so your support and your leadership and patience was really critical to what I think was a very positive experience for all of our team here. So thus, I want to thank the commission, the whole site team, and everyone that has taken such careful thought and consideration in giving us an excellent review and feedback. And then thank you to my staff. I think I have folks, out there in the the hinterlands of the webinar. They just worked so hard, and I'm so impressed at the number of folks they brought in for interviews and how smoothly all of the technology and the visit overall went. I've been formally appointed as dean starting on Friday last week. I think it was Friday. So as I prepared for today and read over the final report again, I just want to mention that the feedback in the report is really timely, and I see this document and the review itself as an institutional document that I'm going to plan to use to onboard new department chairs, for example, or new folks in our teacher prep and other personnel programs. It is an excellent document and just so clearly shows what we do. I also appreciate that the feedback around continuous improvement and the assessment office and the assessment and accreditation office. When I came into the position, the assessment and accreditation office was empty. All of the staff had moved on to other places. And so I appreciate the year to get us moving in the right direction, which I'm super confident that we'll be able to do. The team has already done all of the groundwork to produce a strategic plan. We're very confident that we are going to be able to create continuous improvement cycles especially with our colleagues in Health and Human Services, to meet not just the standards of the CTC, but really to meet the goals of for all of our candidates to be excellent in what they do. And we know how to do that. We do that successfully with the single subject program that works across 10 departments in almost every college in the university. So we're going to draw upon that experience and their insight in order to do that. The group is great in the assessment office. And as we move towards continuous improvement, we are also moving their focus onto institutional effectiveness in general, which I think will give us even a bigger range of skills and tools and impact that they can have. So thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations, Dean Ortiz. Other members of the LB team?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready for that. I also just want to chime in to thank the team and really appreciated all the support over the past really year and a half from the CTC consultants and helping us know what to expect, responding to our questions in a very quick manner and communicating those expectations. I just also want to second what Dean Ortiz said about our new focus as it relates to continuous improvement in our strategic planning process as we modernize and reimagine and expand our ability to collect data in different ways and revisit that data in ways that help us improve. And basically, one of those changes has been, as Dr. Ortiz was explaining, is to go beyond quantitative data to also collect qualitative data. We've been reaching out regularly to those programs that are outside of our unit to gain a better sense of what would be helpful to them and how we can support them more strongly in the way that they use that data for their own program improvement. And we, over the course of this accreditation process, have at the leadership level have definitely improved our communications with those credential programs outside of our unit. And it's quite challenging. It has been quite challenging because of the size of our credential programs and our campus. But we're very confident that this just gets better every moment, and looking at institutional effectiveness, and also ensuring that we're on track with preparing culturally responsive educators is one of our big goals in our college, and collecting data that supports our efforts in that area, kind of beyond the standards in some ways. So thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Hillis, then Member Morrison.
First of all, just congratulations on a very strong report. The one question that I just had, just when I was looking at your numbers, is I was curious about your preliminary administrative services credential, and it says that you didn't enroll any students this fall, and I'm wondering if that is something that you're going to continue to put on hold, or is that just a one-year decision?
Yeah, the administrative services credential team is working on moving that program online. So they are going to move the general program online that would be open to anyone, but they are also developing in-district cohorts. And so we will likely launch one this fall. They're recruiting students for it right now in the ABC districts, so Artesia, Bellflower, Cerritos, and then we are looking at, after the launch of that, in the Fountain Valley area. So we're moving toward a combination of the online version of the program and then the in-district version of the program. So they've primarily been using this year, of course, to work with the continuing students, but also to do curriculum development on that online program.
Member Morrison.
Hey, hi. I'd just like to congratulate you all as well, the team, for such an extensive report, 600 interviews, and a really well-written report. Thank you for that. And the institution, I knew you were doing good work at Cal State Long Beach. I've had many student teachers in my class over the years. In fact, I have one now. But it wasn't until I was reading the report that I realized just how many programs you have there, and just how extensive it is. And I've also had great experience working with the supervisors of the student teachers as well. So I know you're doing a good job. I just didn't realize how many other subjects you were doing the same thing in there as well. I do have a question though, about the numbers. We've had actually a couple of questions like this today. Looking at the completers from last year in the multiple subject and the single subject, there seems to be a huge difference between the students who completed last year and the numbers you have candidates enrolled this year. Is that massive increase because you've recruited way more students, or was there something peculiar about last year that you had such a small amount complete?
Well, like our colleagues at Chico, we did listen to it. I believe that has a lot to do with the repercussions of the pandemic. We had many students withdraw under those circumstances, and many students that decided that it wasn't time for them to do this, and considering the stresses of circumstances, we are actually even looking at our surveys to get feedback from students that may have been enrolled and then didn't continue, and also withdrew from courses, so that we can gain a better understanding of what exactly was going on. And so I really believe, and our team believes in looking at these data, that it really had a lot to do with mental health challenges, still the transitions in working with our districts as the districts were getting back up to speed. And then I think we're feeling this year, like as of 2022, fall 2022, that we have really back, so to speak. And our outreach efforts, we have tremendous outreach efforts in recruitment efforts in our college. We have lots of different pathways. We work closely with our community colleges and do have ITEP programs. And with those SSCP programs, the single subject programs, we begin recruiting in the subject areas early on for those that are interested in teaching as a possible career if they're math majors, and so I think a lot of it has to do with our ability now to go back to in-person outreach efforts. Also, just having the students fully back on campus, our schools up and running, and we're able to fortify those partnerships with our school districts and our community colleges as well. So I really think it
Thank you.
has to do with that in terms of the number
Thanks.
differences in completers.
Thank you. Any other, Member Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And as you were speaking, I started to think, oh, there's this thing called the Long Beach Promise. Might have
Mhm.
something to do with where you are, right?
Mhm.
And then my original question was just to my intent to speak was to say that I'm looking forward to hearing how you frame continuous improvement. I liked what your new dean said about having effectiveness and improvement as obviously part of the same vision. And so having new people at the helm and having a legacy of collaboration sets you up to do some like amazing things and lead the field. So thank you for being willing to help not only answer the call of the 7th year report, but I think this is kind of the benefit of this whole process is that things you are learning and that you could teach others will become visible and transferable to other districts around our state. So thank you for making everything evident.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
that. And we look forward to collaborating and sharing with others. And we are very involved at the state level as many of our faculty members and our team members. And so we look forward to opportunities to share best practices as we move along in our efforts and trying to meet our goals for institutional effectiveness and continuous improvement.
Right. Thanks, everyone. This is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Taylor.
I move that we accept this report and award California State University Long Beach accreditation with a 7th year report.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Member Cervantes? Okay, we'll now call the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Okay, congratulations to the CSU Long Beach team. And thank you for the incredible collaboration from our consultants at CTC. Great job, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
very
Take
much.
care.
Okay, and Ms. Bernard, are we ready for the team from Tracy Unified is right in front of us. That's awesome.
Michelle.
Are we good?
No, not you. It's Kevin. Put him in a-
Okay. Okay. Okay, looks like we're all set. We will move to item 20. It's a report of the accreditation team visit to Tracy Unified School District. Consultant Jake Schuller will present this item. Joining him today is team lead Valeria Saylor and institutional representatives Aaron Quintana, Director of Professional Learning and Curriculum, and Jennifer Castle, Program Administrator for Professional Learning and Curriculum. Did I miss anybody?
No, so it's Valerie Saylor, and I must have mistyped her name 20 times over the past year and a half, and I may have done it somehow on the script, so I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we know it's Valerie.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Does anyone need to recuse? All right, Mr. Schuller, will you begin?
Yes. And I've got 3 items in a row, so you'll get used to me up here for a little bit. But you did also miss sitting next to me, and I did not have her on the roster, I don't think, for today. as Juliana Stocking. She's an associate superintendent at the Tracy Unified. So,
Hi, Juliana.
all right. So, good afternoon again, committee members. The Tracy Unified School District site visit took place from March 20th through the 22nd of this year. The visit was conducted entirely by video technology via Zoom. So this is the first time we're seeing each other in person, even though especially Jen and I worked together for at least a year on each part of the visit. So it's fun to see them in person today. A total of 180 interviews were conducted throughout the site visit, and the visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. The team at Tracy Unified was led by Jennifer Castle, Program Administrator for Professional Learning, and Erin Quintana, Director of Professional Learning and Curriculum, and also Juliana Stocking, Associate Superintendent. They were fantastic to work with throughout the visit and in the year leading up to it, and getting to know them personally and professionally throughout the year. And they were very thorough in their preparation for the visit. Also joining by Zoom today, again, is our team lead, Valerie Saylor. Valerie was an absolute joy to work with and a fantastic leader throughout the process. We'd also like to thank the other site visit team members, Latasha Porter and Sarah Cloves, for contributing their time and expertise to the visit. I will now stop here and turn it over to Valerie, who will present the findings and the accreditation recommendation.
Good afternoon. I'd like to echo Jake on behalf of the site visit team in thanking Tracy, Unified School District Program Leadership, for organizing the logistics of the site visit, warmly welcoming the team. Both Erin and Jen were very responsive to any requests for evidence and questions from the team. I'd also like to thank team members Latasha and Sarah for working diligently on this visit to ensure that all evidence, including the site visit interviews, were carefully reviewed through the lens of the common and program standards. And this was honestly one of the most pleasant site visits I've ever experienced. And that was made possible because of the people in the district, the members of this team, and Jake, who's expert in his role as state consultant. Tracy USD provides a single district induction program to candidates teaching on multiple subject, single subject, or educational specialist preliminary credentials. Tracy's program is well established. It has gone through a recent leadership change, which has allowed the opportunity to reimagine the ways that individual needs of induction candidates are met, including changes to the length of the inquiry cycle. Candidates and trained mentors meet weekly and use the individual learning plan, ILP, to guide cycles of inquiry, reflect on practice, and document their growth in the California standards for the teaching profession. The district offers many professional development opportunities that candidates may choose from to help support their goals on the ILP. The relatively small size of the program, focused within a single district, allows a focus on district goals and initiatives throughout the candidate's induction experience, including a current district focus on STEM education. District communication is a strength of this program. Induction leadership has standing monthly meetings with the superintendent, and the Board of Education receives regular updates from the program. Administrators at both the site and district level receive ongoing communication from program leadership, and strong communication channels are very evident between and among program staff, mentors, and candidates. After careful consideration of all the evidence, including the 180 site visit interviews, the team found all 5 common standards to be met. The team found teacher induction program standards 1 through 5 to be met, and teacher induction program standard 6 to be met with concerns. Program standard 6 states that, quote, induction program leaders must provide formative feedback to mentors on their work, including establishment of collaborative relationships, end quote. While the team found evidence of the program assessing the quality of services provided by their mentors to the candidates on a program-wide scale, the team was unable to find evidence that program leaders provided consistent formative feedback to mentors on their work, including establishment of collaborative relationships. The team was encouraged in hearing from program leaders on the future plans to enhance the formative feedback to mentors. The accreditation team recommendation is accreditation.
Okay, thank you. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. Remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit. And would any of you like to share your insights?
On? All right. I first just wanted to thank Jake, to kind of echo what Valerie said. He was a pleasure to work with. Jen started working with him a lot sooner. I jumped on board about 6 months before the visit in March and really helped streamline it. It ran really, really smooth. So we really appreciate your expertise. And to thank Valerie and her team as well. We only met them virtually, and wonderful process. And Jennifer Castle as well for all her hard work in the induction program.
Excuse me. I would also like to echo the sentiments of working with Jake for the last year. I took over in this position 15 days before our program standards were due to CTC. It has been great to have his knowledge and supporting us through all of the steps, and Valerie for all of her support as well throughout the site visit, and Latasha and Sarah.
Thank you.
I would just like to add, just thank you so much to the team that really supported us on providing feedback. It's been kind of full circle for me. I started in Tracy Unified 7 years ago in Jen Castle's role when we were up for accreditation. And since that time, our program has grown, and all of the feedback that we've gone through during accreditation process has only helped us grown and really improved our program. And that's what we're trying to do now more than ever, especially at a time that's very difficult and challenging to not only recruit great teachers, but also to be able to retain them. So we are looking forward in the action steps. I know that Jen will speak a little bit more to that in the area of concern that we are, ready to address. And just again, really want to thank the thorough process, the feedback from Valerie as well, that has really helped us improve our program.
Thank you. It's interesting. I remember that cycle 7 years ago where you started, and look where you are now. It's congratulations.
Thank you. I attribute that to TUSD. They are very gracious and very welcoming, as the team shared as well. Yes.
And the other comments from the team?
I would like to discuss the standard 6 that was met with concern. So what we have started to do is in our second semester, we had our mentors do a self-reflection on professional standards and their mentoring, and then wrote their own goal for what they wanted to do this semester. And I am currently conducting one-on-one interviews with each of our mentors to review that self-reflection, review the goal and the steps they have taken this semester, and discuss our future plans moving into next year.
Thank you. Okay, comments or questions from the committee members? Tchaikovsky, go ahead.
Sorry, I was getting a little ahead of myself there because I was like piggybacking on what you just said. So you spoke to the idea of goal setting with the mentors. How about feedback to them? What does that look like?
So that has been part of our one-on-one discussions. Also part of in March, I did a survey feedback from the candidates themselves on the mentorship they've received this year in induction. And I have been able to provide that feedback to each of the mentors during our discussions about that and moving forward. And then how can we continue to take candidate feedback and mentor feedback into next year, and really during our mentor meetings do kind of a problem of practice with our mentors as well.
Yeah, thank you. I commend the time and the importance connoted by your one-to-one meetings. So I think that's not lost on anyone. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from committee members? Member Cervantes?
First and foremost, kudos. It looks like you all are doing great work. I noticed an increment in the number of folks in your program. It's a large increment for teacher induction. So that tells us that recruitment is going well in filling those positions. But I did notice it was tagged as an inconsistency on the site supervisor training. and evaluation portion, considering you're going to have more folk in need of supervision. Just share openly with us your process or how you are going to both meet and address, right, that inconsistency as you scale and of course sustain your induction program.
So one thing that we are doing is working on the recruitment of our mentors to help fill that gap with our, we are increasing in our candidates in induction. We also have been able to this year bring on to our professional learning staff 2 curriculum specialist TOSAs that are strictly for induction. So they have been able to help get out and support those additional candidates that we do have.
I'd also add to that with our site supervisors as well. We've embedded this into management with our building leaders, and that's been a pivotal piece for us as the rate of change is changing at every layer of our organization, and I'm sure throughout public education. We've really had to find a way to embed this into our current systems of meetings and functions where we come together. So we also have a beginning of the year July management in TTIP. That's where we're onboarding all new staff so that we really provide a clear foundation for everyone, and then our monthly check-ins so that that's really embedded as an agenda topic for all of our building leaders.
No, thank you for sharing that embedded way and process. And I think long-term sustainability, I'll share the comment that it'd be nice for your human resource management and any human resource management entity for a school district to start embedding and incorporating the fact that part of your scope of work will be also to mentor the next generation of teachers. And it'll be less of a, let me ask Kathy, and hopefully she says yes, and she's free next year. But it's also a part of your growth and responsibility. And perhaps it could then be scaled into your pay scale. How do we ensure that happens so that now mentorship is seen as something I need to acquire on the job? So anyway, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Morrison.
I move that we accept the report of accreditation for Tracy Unified School District.
And second? Member Lee. And we'll now call the vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Okay, congratulations. Motion carries. And thanks for you being here in person. It's really nice to have you here. Juliana, great to see you. Congratulations on your success. Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Schuler. And Ms. Bernardo, do we have the next group here? Great. Okay, moving on to item 21. Item 21 is the discussion of the 7th year report from Hebrew Union College. Consultant Jake Schuler will introduce this item as well. Joining him are institutional representatives Lauren Applebaum, Director, and Bonnie Scharfman, Credential Coordinator. And does anyone need to recuse? Okay, Mr. Schuler, will you begin again?
Yes, thank you. All right, good afternoon again, committee members. The Hebrew Union College site visit took place in March of 2022. Following the site visit at the May 2022 COA meeting, the committee assigned the status of accreditation consistent with the recommendation of the site visit team. The COA also required Hebrew Union College to submit a 7th year report addressing Common Standard 4, which was met with concerns. The main area of concern with Common Standard 4 was around a consistent unit continuous improvement process. While there was evidence that the unit collects and uses data, there wasn't consistent evidence found by the team that the data was systematically used to improve programs and their services. Following the COA meeting last year, I was in contact with Bonnie and Lauren, as we were the year before as well. So we've been together for 2 years working together. So throughout this last year as well, we met consistently to talk about updates to their process and to answer any questions about the preparation of the 7th year report. In order to address Common Standard 4, Hebrew Union College, led by Bonnie and Lauren, have met consistently with their larger unit leadership team and educational partners to develop a timeline and process for strategic yearly continuous improvement. As you may have seen in the full 7th year report, it includes the outline of that timeline and the various data points, both internal and external, that the team plans to use moving forward. I'll now stop there and turn it over to Bonnie and Lauren to provide any additional comments.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you to the members of the commission for this process, which we have found extraordinarily helpful. As we said to Jake over the course of the year, this really allowed us to think deeply about the pieces we were already doing, and a lot of the work represented in this timeline was really just sort of a realignment and better organization of the a little bit too informal processes we already had in place. And so we, over the course of this year, have taken advantage of getting better organized and more systematic about it, and have been already so gratified with the results of this process, and are really looking forward to finishing this school year with them and heading into the next school year with them all in place. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I just want to make sure that there were no other comments from the institution. How about any questions or comments from the committee? Member Tchaikovsky?
Yes, thank you for being here and sharing your work with us. I was encouraged to see the variety of data sources that you've cited in your data collection and analysis timeline. What my question is regarding the use of the word cycle that's here. How do these data sources fit into a cycle that informs your actions? Can you describe what happens with these data and how those are used in order to formulate plans?
Yes, thank you for the question. I'm looking down to see where we use the word cycle so that I make sure that I'm referring to the same thing that you are. I think that because like any program, our program is a 4 semesters, so summer, fall, spring, and then following summer. The credential program itself, induction, is just during the school year and not in the summer. But we are trying to both respond. So some of the fall feedback, the early feedback from our site partners or from the students or some from the faculty, so that we're trying to feed our analysis of that data right back into the next semester. So that's happening sort of already in process with that cohort, at the same time that as we're planning hiring adjuncts or not rehiring adjuncts, adjusting the curriculum for the next cohort. So we're sort of changing what might make sense to say, like, oh, we're really realizing a weakness here. What can we adjust for this current group? And at the same time, we're always looking ahead to the next round of the next cycle. So and that I think has to do with the clinical education and mentor survey, the course evaluations, some of the stuff that's more summative that's coming up now at the end of the year would feed back into sort of, again, the initial summer and then back into the next year too.
Yeah, thank you. I think it occurred to me also that, the more collaborative the examination of the data can be, potentially the more useful they are. So, I mean, I guess I would say if you have partners, advisory team members on a quarterly basis, to kind of routinize the analysis, to make these data actually really levers of action, it might be helpful to think, in what way can you institutionalize the examination of these numbers in a collaborative or advisory fashion? That might be helpful.
Absolutely, I welcome that. In the bottom of some of the sections, you can see it says leadership team analysis, and that represents, again, we were doing it sort of less formally, and now, as you said, we put in the structure where we meet together as a leadership team with either some outside partners or the internal larger team to go through that data and then collect it and move forward from there too. And that has been such a gift of this process.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion by committee member? Member Tchaikovsky. And do I have a second? Member Kresha? Okay, we'll now call a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. Congratulations to the Hebrew team, and thank you for joining us today. And Mr. Schuler, thanks for your work on this. Congratulations. We're a little bit ahead. Do we have everybody for the 2:30 time slot, Ms. Bernardo? Okay. Okay, looks like we have everybody here. We're going to go ahead and move on to item number 22, the report of the accreditation team to Azusa Pacific University. Consultant William Hattrick will introduce this item. He's joined by team lead Nina Potter and institutional representatives Ms. Rebecca Harris, Assistant Dean for Academic Planning and Accreditation. And I don't think did I miss anybody?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Hattrick, will you begin?
Sure. Good afternoon, committee members. The virtual site visit for Azusa Pacific University took place February 12th through 15th for their 9 educator preparation credential programs, and it was conducted currently with CAPE. Their programs are offered through the School of Education, School of Behavioral and Applied Science, and the School of Nursing. I want to thank my fellow consultant, Steph Morgado, who joined me on this visit, as well as our team lead, Nina Potter, who stepped in as team lead leading up to the visit. So I really do appreciate that. I think it was her second visit this year as team lead. The institutional leadership, program directors, faculty, and staff from APU were very responsive to team requests for additional information related to their credential programs and accommodating other needs of the site visit team as they arose. The institution ensured that the team was able to interview various constituency groups for the programs offered, not only at their home campus, but also from their regional campuses throughout Southern California. In addition to the interviews, the team reviewed evidence provided before and during the visit to determine findings on all of the common and program standards. And I will now turn it over to our team lead, Nina Potter, to discuss the findings on the accreditation report and the recommendation for APU's accreditation status. Thanks.
Great, thank you, everybody. Thank you also to Dean Hank, Rebecca Harris, and all of the APU faculty and staff who made this a very successful visit. And thank you to the CTC review team and consultants, William and staff, for all the time they took to review documentation and take part in the 3 days of interviews. I'm happy to report this was one of our smoothest visits I've ever been a part of. So before I get to the findings, I wanted to just highlight 3 things that stood out to me from this visit. First was the high regards for faculty. Candidates across programs spoke very highly of faculty. They were especially grateful for having faculty who were current practitioners in the field who had quote, real life experience in the field. Candidates were also very well prepared across programs and across campuses. Candidates repeatedly reported that they felt well prepared to begin their career as education professionals. And lastly, collaboration. The collaboration of faculty and staff, not only within programs, but across programs and across schools, was evident and frequently commented on from interviews with stakeholders, including the candidates and faculty. And then I also wanted to mention some of the feedback from the review team about how well organized the information on the website was and the prompt reply to requests for information. So we found all common standards to be met and all program standards to be met. So therefore, we are recommending that APU receives full accreditation. I look forward to answering any questions you have.
Thank you. At this time, we now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. And to remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit. And so Ms. Harris, would you like to comment? Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes of who's here and who's not here.
No worries. Yes, I'd like to take the opportunity on behalf of the excellent faculty, staff, and administrators across the schools of education, behavioral and applied sciences, and nursing, as well as on behalf of the Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Anita Hank, who sincerely apologizes for not being able to be here today, to take a few moments to thank those who helped make this a successful visit, especially our consultant, William Hattrick, for his support, taking time to offer lessons learned from other virtual visits, checking and getting clear answers to our detailed questions, investing time, and collaborating with the CAPE team lead were all important parts of ensuring that our joint site visit went off successfully, that William carried out flawlessly. I'd also like to thank Steph Morgado, who also joined in to provide support during the visit. Experiencing a joint site visit with CTC and CAPE, and also from the perspective of having served on both CTC and CAPE site visit teams, I can attest that the level of support that CTC staff and consultants provide to program sponsors and team leads throughout the site visit process really is second to none. I'd also like to thank Nina Potter, who agreed to step in as chair. I think it was just a little more than a month before our visit. She came up to speed quickly and led a strong site visit team who dove in deeply to learning our programs and our context. I'd also really like to thank CTC for the process that enabled us to have a later start on Sunday afternoon. As a faith-based institution, allowing our faculty and staff to be in worship with their local churches is an important part of our community. And so we're thankful for the space that CTC allowed for that, and acknowledge that it led to a very packed schedule on Monday and Tuesday for our site visit team. Carrying off a joint CTC and CAPE accreditation visit with the level of confirmation of meeting expectations really would not have been possible without the fabulous chairs, program directors, faculty, and staff across the 3 schools with preparation programs at APU. So I want to especially share how thankful I am for each of them and the investment and effort that they gave to preparing reports and making sure we were positioned well for our site visit. As it says in our report, in spite of a challenging season, the educator preparation programs at APU continue to hold high standards. Completers and candidates have reported that they're happy with the support that they receive, and employers shared that our completers are well prepared. And that finding really wouldn't be possible without the chairs, program directors, faculty, and staff, and all that they give to the institution and our candidates. It really is a blessing to have such wonderful colleagues, and to ensure, who don't just ensure that our programs are staying the course, but really endeavor to continue to improve even when times are challenging. So I look forward to responding to any questions that committee members may have of the institution.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harris. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Tchaikovsky?
Sorry, I know this is becoming routine, but
No,
I was going to ask this in the beginning because I was looking for numbers of participants in your programs, and I didn't find that anywhere in the report unless I missed it. That's kind of a standard part of this report, isn't it? Because that's actually garnered quite a bit of attention today, is to look and see how various programs are attracting and or addressing changes in enrollment. I would like to see that before we make any decisions about this.
I apologize. I don't know how that got left out. I know it was in an earlier version. Yeah.
We can't share
Screen
information. Well, we can't share.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the public report. So sharing it now doesn't give the public access to it.
Just or from the.
Yeah, yes,
institution?
that would work. Yeah.
And I'll bring up.
But as a documented piece of evidence, it would be. Exactly, because it's not posted.
So, but I heard you say that we can get feedback from the
He can talk
institution, or-
about it. Yeah, William can talk about it.
Rebecca, did you want me to just sort of
Yeah.
give an overview of the numbers and chime in? I have your table up from the site visit.
Okay, I have the
website, so.
table up too. I'm willing to summarize the numbers from the table. So we did on our accreditation site visit site have a table of candidates and completers. So for our multiple subject program, in terms of completer or candidate numbers, from fall of 2021 to fall of 2022, there was a slight decline from 149 to 130 for single subject. In fall of 2021, we had 140 candidates, and in fall of 2022, we had 114. Our mild moderate support needs program had 57 candidates in fall of 2021 and 39 candidates in fall of 2022. Our extensives, those are traditional student teaching pathway. Our extensive support needs program had 28 traditional candidates and 17 in fall of 2022. So slight declines there. Our intern programs saw slight increases across those from 16 to 25 for multiple subject, from 11 to 25 for single subject, from 30 to 35 for mild moderate, from 17 to 22 for extensive support needs. For school counseling, from fall 2021, candidates was 168. In fall 2022 was 142. For school psychology, it was 106 to 109. They have an intern program that had candidates enrolled that went from 10 to 8. School social work and child welfare and attendance had 20 students enrolled in fall 2021 and 39 enrolled in fall 2022. Our adapted physical education program had 9 students enrolled in fall 2021 and 15 enrolled in fall 2022. And our school nurse program had 51 students enrolled in fall 2021 and 15 enrolled in fall 2022.
Member Tchaikovsky, did you want to ask any questions based on that?
We might be able to get the table if somebody could share their screen, but I think it would have to be Rebecca, William, because you're not connected. So let us know. It will be added to the report. Yep,
We'll add it.
absolutely.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Ms. Harris, for providing that information to us. This is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Cervantes.
Motion to accept the recommendation of accreditation for Azusa Pacific University.
And a second. Member Hallis. And we'll now call vote. All those in favor. Oh, sorry.
Do we need to include in the motion that with the inclusion of the information? Yeah.
Well, what you're accepting is the recommendation for accreditation
Right.
status, not the report per se. It's not a 7th-year report. So we will update the report.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so motion stands. We'll now call the vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Congratulations to the Azusa Pacific team. Thank you, Mr. Hattrick, and appreciate you helping us out there with the numbers.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca.
And also Ms. Margado also, thank you. And Ms. Potter. Okay, we do have a big gap. Do we have the next team ready?
They're working on it.
Okay,
So,
say that again. Okay,
so maybe we could take a.
can we take a few minutes stretch break then? Why don't we, 5 minutes? Okay. So we'll return at 2:35. Okay, thanks everybody for waiting. We do have everybody here, so we can go ahead and move on. Just want to remind everybody that we are moving past item 23. That's been moved to the June 2023 COA meeting agenda. And we're going to move on to item 24 at this time, the revisit report of the accreditation team to La Sierra University. Consultant Miranda Gutierrez will present this item. Joining her today and rejoining us is team lead Rebecca Harris, and institutional representatives Dr. Chang Ho Ji, Dean, Dr. Keith Dryberg, Department Chair, Dr. Dora Clark Pine, Department Chair and PPS Program Director, and Dr. Raymond Hurst, Assistant Chair and Director of Assessment. Does anyone need to recuse? All right, Ms. Gutierrez, will you begin, please?
Yes, thank you. So item 24 presents the revisit report to La Sierra University. La Sierra University had their accreditation site visit in April 2022, and at the June 2022 COA meeting, they were granted an accreditation status of accreditation with major stipulations. Part of those stipulations included quarterly reports, and so 2 of those reports were presented to you. And given the timing of the meetings and their revisit, a 3rd report was provided, but it was provided to the site visit team to inform the site visit, so it was not presented here. And so I had the pleasure of working with La Sierra over the last 2 years and seeing their progress in addressing each of the stipulations over the last year. So the revisit was held on April 17th and 18th. And while I was their consultant for the last 2 years, a week before the site visit, I had some personal issues. And so I was only able to attend half of the site visit. So I really want to acknowledge and thank Jake for stepping in and taking over, and also for the flexibility of the team lead, Rebecca, and the institution for managing the change so well, so late in the game. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Rebecca to share the team's finding and updated accreditation recommendation.
Good afternoon again. From a site visit team lead perspective, I'd like to thank Dr. G and his team at La Sierra for their welcoming attitude. I'd also really like to thank Miranda and Jake, who both provided a lot of support to me as I led this revisit to La Sierra. The School of Education at La Sierra is to be commended for the work that they accomplished to address the stipulations from the April 2022 site visit. The documentation that was provided in the quarterly reports was clear and well organized and demonstrated that the work that the school had done to address the stipulations hadn't been just occasional, but it really was regular and pervasive work that they had engaged in. Interviews during the revisit confirmed that it hadn't just been plans that they were developing or discussions of what will happen, but that they jumped in and instituted changes and updates that have already been implemented and felt across their constituency groups. The work to embrace change and move from individualized program processes where programs might have more control to a more centralized and systematic process where programs might need to give up some control isn't easy, but it was clear across interview groups that this is a change that has been embraced in the School of Education at La Sierra. In interviews, different groups spoke to how shared processes and shared access to student information and documents has improved the candidate experience. Additionally, in interviews, it was made clear that even though a lot of work has been undertaken and accomplished in a short period of time, faculty, staff, and adjuncts see that the job isn't done. They are being intentionally reflective on the work that has been accomplished and thinking about how to continue to implement and make even more improvements moving forward. Some examples that were shared were using the revamped vision statement as a lens through which to review textbooks, review assignments within courses, and review instruction to make sure that they fit within the revamped vision statement. Another kind of planned continuous improvement was continuing to improve data collection by examining how the credential analyst as well as program networking efforts with district partners can improve the data that the school has on its completers in the field. The impact of the new or updated offices and processes that have been established since April 2022 really has been experienced by all of the constituency groups that were interviewed at the revisit. And the feedback that these updates have improved candidate support as well as unit and program continuous improvement processes was unanimous across the interviews. As a little glimpse into the impact, in interviews with candidates, they shared how they experienced what they felt was good support and access to faculty to address their concerns in the past, but that they've seen improvements from good to great in the past year. They even spoke of being a little envious of the new candidates who would be coming into the program now, only knowing the new and improved processes and supports that are now in place. As a result, the recommendation following the revisit to La Sierra is that all stipulations be removed and that the accreditation standing be updated from accreditation with major stipulations to accreditation.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. At this time, I'd like to invite the La Sierra University team to comment on the visit and just remind you this is not a time to dispute the report, but rather provide any thoughts you had about the visit. So members of the La Sierra University team.
Yeah, let me speak first. I'm the Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Harris and Ms. Gutierrez, and also other team members. I really appreciate. Yes, it was a very busy, kind of a year, but we also, I should say that it was not easy, process because we have been putting really fundamental changes in many fronts, especially including our record systems, advising systems, as well as assessment and data collection and the management analysis system. But looking back, it gave us a good window and chance to update our system as well as revamp some of those weaknesses that we have. So I really appreciate the excellent visit, but also I want to give kudos to Dr. Harris and the team that gave us kind of a opportunity to reconsider and then restudy our own programs. I'm pretty sure that, as Dr. Harris says, we will continue this process, and which is now part of the built-in system. And I'm pretty sure that in the near future, we can see some more tangible evidence that how this change has brought good things to the school education. So I really appreciate, again, Dr. Harris and the Ms. Gutierrez and everyone involved in this process.
Thank you. Anybody else from the?
I also wanted to thank the commission and the accreditation team. We took to heart exactly what their recommendations and stipulations were, made all those changes in our program, teacher education program, which I work with closely, is much stronger than it ever has been. So thank you for all your help and support, leading and answering and guiding questions and helping us with all of that. We really do appreciate it.
I wanted to add a big thank you to Miranda for assisting us with all the questions we had. Also to Rebecca for helping us get a better focus, a better handle on where we needed to make room for improvement. Thank you for the original accreditation visit team who diligently looked at our system and made some recommendations that were well overdue. And thank you for Jane, our dean, who was able to kind of visualize overall the need for an organizational structural system change that brought in a number of different offices to help us streamline what we do for our students and what we do for our programs in terms of not only implementing what we need to implement to make our program stronger, but to also think about future avenues of improvement. So thank you very much for everything. It was a painful journey, and a year sounds like a long time, but it really was not a long time to make all the changes that we did. I'm amazed at what Dr. G was able to do in terms of leading us to the changes that did occur.
Anyone else from La Sierra? Okay, before we open up to committee questions or comments, I just want to start off with a question. So as you consider that journey that you just described this last year, that quick journey and all the shifts, what are some of those key learnings as an institution that the School of Education walks away with now a year out? That can be for Dean G or any of the La Sierra team.
Yeah, since the last visit took place, and then we as a team read the report very carefully, and we really took it seriously. Especially me as a new dean, I took this kind of a, if not crisis, is kind of close to it. And then even I didn't take kind of a, how to say it, about a week or 2 weeks, because I thought the time is running out. And then instead of simply planning and then speak to the revisiting what we want to do, I thought we better do right now and then implement in a better way. So it took a couple of weeks to put together ideas and then how to revamp the entire system. So instead of kind of incremental changes, we decided to go with a new kind of a system and then adapt all the system to new system. So kind of a new part rather than old part to kind of lead the way. And so once that plan is sort of kind of become emerged and clear, my team get together very quickly. So in my reflections, I think it didn't take even more than 1.5 months. We start to kind of implement. On top of that, the university central administrators are very supportive, of this, and then that which included the new personnel hiring, new restructuring, and also some people maybe replaced with new kind of a groups of people. So it was a quite painful process, but we were determined. And then I really appreciate my team who followed me with their support.
I think I
Thank
learned
you.
that
Go
the
ahead.
centralization process is it actually helps us tremendously in terms of streamlining everything that we do. So I think that whole organizational shift, which was a difficult paradigm to embrace, which we definitely did embrace and had to work quickly to make the changes that were needed, was 100 times. We're operating now at a level we should have been operating at years ago. And I'm very thankful to the team that they pointed out where we needed to grow. I'm very thankful for the leadership we had within the School of Education through Dr. G to get us to where we needed to go as well. Thank you very much.
For me, there was a couple of key learnings, and those were, number one, using data rather than just collecting it to guide the process, also focusing on the continuous improvement process, and thirdly, developing stronger partnerships with the local districts. Yes, we had been doing some of that, but now, this past year, we've been more focused on those kinds of things to help us.
Thank you for that feedback and those answers. It's really motivating to see how this process can work and transform systems. And thanks to all of you for the work you put into that. How about questions or comments from other committee members? Member Cervantes?
First and foremost, kudos to all of you. 16 stipulations in a year. And I appreciated the reflection that just took place. The word evidence leads about 13 of those 16 stipulations, over 80% of them, which tells you that you need to rip the Band-Aid off. You need to set up a structure that's then built to last so that you can have a sustainable and a scalable program. And I think there's evidence here that you moved in that direction. Someone used the word centralized, and I work at an IHE, and when it's not centralized is when things get lost, and it's when you don't know where it's at. And I also appreciated the comment on data, making data informed decisions as opposed to just collecting stuff because someone's going to ask for that stuff. Makes a lot of sense. So looking forward to seeing your program strengthen itself. It seems like you have good leadership. If you have a good structure and you can build it to last, then it's working. When, say, new people come into the fold, they can take over some roles and it still works. So it looks good. Keep it going and hopefully it gets better, right?
Thank you, Member Cervantes. Any other questions or comments? Member Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, this is just a kind of a process question for the consultants and people involved in the revisit. Who actually goes and what occurs? And if you already addressed that and I just missed it, I apologize.
Yeah, no, the revisit usually consists of the team lead at minimum and the consultant. Based on these stipulations, we deemed that the team lead and consultant were only necessary for this revisit. There were a lot of stipulations, but there were themes around them, so they were all kind of interwoven with each other. I'm not sure if that gets at your question, or if you'd
I'd like to add to that a little bit too, depending on if we're looking at a particular program. So thinking about the University of Redlands visit, where we have some very specific issues around ed specialist and PPS, I will go, the same team lead will go, and we will also take the same reviewers that did the PPS and the ed specialist program. So we really try to bring back the same people that looked at it the first time to keep that continuity as much as is possible.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. I just wondered if you talked to any candidates or if you talked to anybody beyond program leadership.
Yeah, so in Rebecca might want to speak a little more to this, but it was a wide range of constituents involved in the interviews, candidates, advisory boards, partners. So it wasn't just isolated to internal constituents.
Yeah, I
We
will.
don't
concur.
typically. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Rebecca.
I was just going to say that, yes, it was groups across candidates, district partners, advisory individuals, as well as faculty, and those who supervise placements, those types of things. So it was a really a representative group of the same individuals, and saw many of the same individuals that we saw last April, this April, in those interviews.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I mean, I just think if, those numbers do nothing else than suggest that there's a lot of diverse data sources. So I'm not saying they should appear, but I appreciate knowing that all that goes into this process a second time around. Thank you.
Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion by committee member? Member Tchaikovsky.
All right, so I move that we accept this report of the revisit on La Sierra University, which changes the accreditation with major stipulations to accreditation.
And do I have a second? Member Hillis. All right. I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. And just a congratulations to the team, and also thank you to Ms. Harris and Ms. Gutierrez for your work on this, and for your ongoing work in the revisit. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Thank
and
you.
Miranda.
Both of you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, this ends our time today. Ms. Sullivan, do we have anything else we need to talk about?
We do not. We have no other items for today.
Great. We will now recess this meeting until 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning.